The national anthem of the host country. Please be seated. Okay. So one of the things that all of us perhaps have observed that we don't have a flex banner. Yes, your cadet friend is putting it up. Fine. So you would have noticed that we did not have a flex banner. Any idea why? Yes, cadets, why? Go on, go on. Ladies, why didn't we have a flex banner? Okay, you are on the right track, that for sustainability. Yes? So we discussed and we decided that no, for just a span of 2-3 hours, We don't want to add another banner to the load of this earth, and we will do just fine with the digital banner. Okay? Again, so while we talk about sustainability, let's also walk that talk and do things in real life. So now, I don't have any piece of paper, because again, we can do without a piece of paper, and therefore, I will take a few snippets here and there and share with you some data. The gentlemen here, they have had a long, illustrious, not only career, but long, illustrious life. So much of details, so many awards, so much achievement, that really it's difficult to put in here within a short period of time. So I will open my laptop and I will take its help and not use a paper, because again, the environment matters, and let's walk the talk and not add unnecessary things to the environment. Okay, so our former Chief of the Indian Air Force, what do we want to know about him? Do you just want to know about him in terms of his career or more? What do you want? Audience is always the king. After retirement life, okay. And what else? So behind every uniform, behind every designation, there is always a human being. And the human being is in his 360 degrees. So we are a mix of our personal lives, our professional lives, our hobbies, interests, etc. And that's why whenever I have spoken to cadets at IU, I've always said that present a 360-degree view of yourself. That makes us human, that makes us full, that makes us real to people. So yes, of course, he has had an illustrious career, a very big role that he has played for Indian Defence Service, but he's definitely more than only that. Same for Dr. Rahman. So I will share a little bit about them, and then as they speak to you, they will share much more about them to you. The whole idea is to understand the person in his 360 degree and what we can learn from that person and apply to our lives. Otherwise, it's not time well invested. Okay, so let's see just a few things from here, and then we will hear it from them. Okay. So of course we all know from the poster and from our general knowledge that he is Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha sir, and he was the 21st Chief of the Air Staff of the Indian Air Force and served for 3 years, that is from December 2013 to December 2016, and he was also heading the committee of the chairs of the staff of the heads of the defense services. All 3 defense services, their heads, they form a committee, and he was heading as the senior most defense personnel that particular committee. So he's worked with several prime ministers and presidents, and so he was born in Bengal, and a place near to Calcutta, and his father was a doctor, and he has been a cadet just like you, but from a very early age. So he joined the Sainik School, Purulia, from class 6 up. Yes. So I happen to have an association with Sainik School, Purulia now, and I visited in April. and it was quite a sight. Very, very young children, 10, 11 years of age, going through rigorous physical development sessions. I have seen a little bit of what you do. Yes, it is very strenuous, and I've taught first years of many batches, and you must have also felt what your other cadets have felt, that it is exhausting, difficult to sit up in class after all the physical exercises, etc. But at the signing schools, it is children of 10, 11 years who start this rigorous physical exercises along with their studies. So he was at signing school Purulia and then qualified into the defense services. He was trained at, so many of you, I'm aware, that have a lot of aspiration to join the defense services. You are still trying. You are appearing for exams and interviews, and this should be a major inspiration, his presence at this campus. So he trained at the National Defense Academy, and then thereafter again at Air Force Academy in Hyderabad, and then started his military career. It's all the great aircrafts that we hear about, the fighter planes, etc., which we love to see in movies. He's actually done it and been there. He'll tell us more about it. And along with his professional life, there's a very beautiful personal life as well. I have happened to meet Madam at certain social functions, and they have two beautiful children who are now grown up, married, well settled, and his son is a commercial pilot. His daughter is in the Indian Economic Services. They are also married to very illustrious people, one a Kathakali dancer, the other alumni of Indian School of Business. He has innumerable awards. So on this particular picture that you see, all the awards are there. So the Param Vishisht Seva Medal, the Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, and many. But and he's also awarded a DLIT from Sidhupanu Birsa University. So here is the person in the 360 degree. I of course have just mentioned the tip of the iceberg. I have had the fortune of listening to him quite a few times at different forums. The first one was in 2017, just after his retirement. He was giving a talk in Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Kolkata. And most of the things that he said at that particular forum, 2017, today we are in 2022, they have stuck to my mind. These are things very difficult to implement, but I try in my own small way to implement at least something from the people that I meet. So one of the things that he mentioned was about the bold officer versus the old officer, and I request, sir, to share that with you, because that has a direct relevance not only to civilian people, but especially you who are going forward to sail across the world and doing things which actually help not only international trade but also international cooperation. And later on, when Dr. Rahman will speak, you will see that how important your role is. Once you start sailing, you are an ambassador of the country. With this, I request Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha to kindly address all of us and enlighten us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me convey my very warm and special greetings to the Director of Indian Maritime University, Calcutta Chapter, Shri Arup Raha, Professor Atiur Rahman, the 10th Governor of Bangladesh Bank, which is equivalent to the Central Bank of Bangladesh, like we have, the RBI, the esteemed members of the faculty of the IMU, Calcutta Chapter, and of course, other distinguished guests, and most importantly, the students in large numbers who are pursuing various courses here in marine engineering, be it BTech, MTech, as also MBA courses. I'm truly very happy to be here amongst you and participate in this event that has been organized today by IMU Kolkata Chapter. And I would like to thank the director for inviting me to listen to a very important talk that Dr. Atiur Rahman would be undertaking in a few minutes from now on regional connectivity for Indo-Bangladesh trade expansion, a very relevant subject for both the neighbors, I would say. My association with IMU or its previous, incarnation has been for a very long time. And I do have a lot of affinity for this institution since the 1970s. As was mentioned, I'm an alumni of Sainik School, Purulia. My batch passed out from Purulia in 1970. And I happened to join the National Defense Academy and then went on to get the President's Commission as an Air Force officer and a fighter pilot. But many of my classmates, many of my contemporaries who were the alumni of Sainik School Purulia, seniors, classmates and juniors from that time who did not join the armed forces, volunteered to become mariners, marine engineers, and they took the training at this very institution in those days. So I have very strong association with those friends of mine, associates of mine, and I have known about this place since the 1970s, about the training, about the hardships, as also the life as a mariner in the maritime domain. And we are all in touch with each other. About 6 of my course mates or classmates have settled down in Kolkata, and we have regular meetings and social activities, and we remain in touch with each other and enjoy our company. So if I had not become a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force, most probably I would have joined my classmates who took training here to be a marine engineer. This morning or this afternoon, you're going to listen to Dr. Atiur Rahman on a very important subject, as I mentioned. So before he speaks, I think I'll very briefly cover or give you a historical perspective on the importance of maritime domain, a profession in which you are going to be very important members. You are going to shoulder a lot of responsibilities in the maritime domain, projecting India's, I would say, image, and also doing well for yourself. Well, trade, commerce, economic activities, strategic power play, and domination in world affairs. The world, stage is being actually garnered and cornered by the maritime domain. Its importance is growing progressively and becoming more and more, I would say, important for the entire world, the globalization that is taking place, the main force is through the maritime domain in terms of trade, commerce, economic activities. So let me tell you something about how the maritime domain became important from history. Right from the dawn of civilization, the warlords, kings, emperors, later on nation states wanted to be powerful and glory, and that glory and power they are seeking was achieved through campaigns, through conquest. So initially, in the ancient times, it was the land army. A king or an emperor or a warlord who had a very powerful army, a standing army with tremendous fighting capabilities and morale. They invaded, went up and down, north, south, east, west, to expand their sphere of influence, to garner more power, to garner more resources, and subjugate others in the neighborhood. So that was history. But later on, things changed very rapidly. The maritime domain became very important. This happened mostly, leaving aside those facts from, I would say, from various mythological stories, but definitely in the 14th, 15th centuries, many seafaring nations, especially Europeans, became very powerful. They established very powerful navies, warships. They established a trading community with large seagoing vessels and ships for trade and commerce. And gradually, these nations, these seafaring people, actually set sail across oceans. They bridged the gap between one continent and another, and they colonized the entire world. North America, Latin America, Australia, Africa, Asia, all the island territories in these oceans, be it Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, or Indian Ocean. So that is the kind of strength and power they derived through the use of maritime domain. So what was the driving force? Basically trade and commerce, getting rich, getting economic enhancements. But yes, at the back of it, the military power also came in to sustain their hold on world matters. And it continues to be the same even today. The maritime domain is determining how the economy of the world as such will shape up in the future. The largest volume of trade and commerce, transshipment, movement of goods are taking place through maritime domain. Huge bulk ships, container ships are carrying raw materials, oil, minerals, coal, finished products, goods, and merchandise from one continent to another, one nation to another. So that is how, even today, as I said, globalization is getting a facelift, is being bolstered through the maritime domain. And you all have chosen to be professionals in the maritime domain. You all are going to be mariners. I think it is a very, very challenging career, a very challenging profession. I find a lot of similarities in this domain as mariners with that of the armed forces. People putting on uniform and having arms to defend a nation or defend the sovereignty of a nation. But your perspective is even larger. It is not related to India alone or your nation alone. It is for the entire humanity. So that is the position you are going to take, or that is the kind of contribution you're going to make to the world as one community, as Mariner. You know, I remember I had a lot of discussion with my marine engineer friends who have retired during the COVID-19 pandemic. They mentioned to me the importance of the maritime domain stood out during this COVID-19 pandemic, when supply chains are being disrupted, when we understood the vulnerability of sustaining that supply chain for proper economy, growth, supply of food, and other merchandise. It had collapsed, and the worst sufferers were the mariners, because the ships would not be allowed to berth in ports. The quarantine laws are very, very severe. So you are left out in the mariners are left out in the open seas to fend for themselves without much support from anyone. So you all, the mariners took the brunt of this COVID-19 pandemic. But the good seafarers that the mariners are, who have a very strong willpower, resilience, they have an ability to be strong mentally and physically. Their training is such, your training is such, I believe. So the mariners could take it in the stride. All the challenges, all the odds, and they could progress without much problem. And today I think most of the things have been fixed. The problems that arose during the pandemic have been fixed, and the world is breathing normal because of the mariners. Well, I've spoken for almost 7-8 minutes. I'll take another 5 minutes because I have been requested by the director of your IMU to say something about leadership, about motivation, about morale, from own experience. So it's very difficult for a retired person to avoid the temptation of actually giving unsolicited advice. So I think I have a captive audience today, but I'll keep it very brief. There are a few important aspects of points, I would say, which would help building one's character. Because character of a person is the most important thing in life. And these aspects would also make one a good human being first, an excellent professional, and an outstanding leader. So I'll just mention some of these traits that you need to inculcate or imbibe in your character as you progress in your life, in your profession. There are 5 points I would mention. First is discipline. Without discipline, no individual, no person, no people, no country, no society can be great. You can see the examples all across the world. Nations which are doing well, they are disciplined races, disciplined people, and they work very hard to achieve the highest of standards in the world, which we all envy. So that is the first thing. Second is hard work to acquire knowledge and be recognized, or you have the reputation of knowing your profession exceptionally well. And there is no substitute for hard work. So that is one thing you must remember, that you must do well in your profession, not to come first or not to score so many points, but genuinely be well versed with your profession, and you have a reputation which will take you places. And remember, spoken reputation is more important than the written reputation in your reports. So if you are good, if you are professionally sound, people will come to you automatically for advice, and seek your advice to solve problems. So this is the second point I thought I would mention. Third is having a very positive attitude and focus in life. So unless you have focus, you cannot really channelize your energies in the right direction. So with focus and positive attitude, one can achieve wonders. Fourth point is ethos and ethics. Without proper ethos and ethics, no person can be great. One can be excellent in his profession or in her profession, excellent, in the work. But if we do not imbibe the correct ethos and ethics, then we will lose our mental strength. The mooring of any individual is based on the ethos and ethics that you have imbibed or you have followed. I'll tell you why. In the world, in any situation that you face, only about 10% will be white and 10% will be black. That means you know which area is forbidden, that is black, and which area is cleared for implementation, that is white. So only 20%, the gap between white to do and not to do is absolutely clear in everyone's mind. But it is the rest of the 80%, which is gray area, shades of gray, where you have to make a decision, and it's very difficult to make a correct decision. It is not by your gut feeling or your whims and fancies. It has to be based on your ethos and ethics. You put that question, the situation, and question it through ethos and ethics that you have adopted. You will find the answer very easily. You will know exactly what is to be done. So that is the fourth point I wanted to mention. And the fifth point I would like to mention is team building. If you want to be a good leader, you have to have the capacity to build a good team who will work together and strengthen the organization, who will help you to achieve the objectives of the organization that you have. We all know that there are three important assets which are available to a leader. Infrastructure, the equipment is housed in the infrastructure, and the human resources. The human resources are the people who will work on the equipment that you have within the infrastructure, who will produce the results that the institution is seeking, your own objectives as a leader. So remember to actually inculcate the soft skills to manage your people, especially your subordinates. So unless you understand that, unless you know what sort of soft skills you require to manage your people, so that you can leverage these skills to get the best out of your team. So that is what leadership is all about to my mind. Priya was mentioning that I had given a talk in Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Sometime back in 2017, I had mentioned something. So the point she was trying to make, I mentioned to the people there on address that in the Air Force, professionalism, like you all are going to be professionals, is extremely important, especially for a flyer, because there is a very thin line between aggressiveness and foolhardiness. You cross that thin line, you might get doomed. But if you are not aggressive, you will not win any battle. That is for sure. So that is the area. So I said that, there are not many old pilots. There are two categories of pilots, old pilots and bold pilots. But there are no old, bold pilots. Because the old pilot has become old because that person, that pilot, knew what is the right thing to do. Very mature, follows the SOP, very disciplined, well equipped to handle situations which demands immediate action so that you can retrieve the aircraft and get out of trouble. But the bold pilot often takes too many risks, which is not necessary. Sometimes you have to say, okay, I call it a day. Tomorrow is another day, I'll fight tomorrow. Than, getting killed or losing your aircraft or your, colleagues getting shot up in the air. So that is what is meant by bold pilots do not survive long because they tend to err on the wrong side and they're too aggressive and they cross that line between aggressiveness and foolhardiness and land up in the foolhardy area. So that's why I said there are, old pilots and bold pilots, but no old and bold pilots. Other thing I would like to mention that in leadership, you have to be very ethical. You must learn to make a good team by recognizing the contribution of each and every member in the team. Doesn't matter what the status of that member is. You must give recognition, you must be grateful, and you must be ethical and absolutely open when you deal with people who are under you. I think I'll end my talk here. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you again. And I'm sure our cadets must have picked up some important points which they could use in future from your talk. Very important 5 points that he mentioned to us. If he can jot it down today, it'll do us good. Okay, so let us get to know our foreign dignitary. So we all know that he has been the 10th governor of the Central Bank of Bangladesh Bank. But again, that is not all about him. The human being is much, much larger than only that much. And let us get to know a little bit about him. And then he will speak to us and tell us much more about his work. But this is a very novel opportunity that we are getting. And we will see that certain things that we use, those things are actually a person creates, or the vision of a person creates. Okay, some things that we use in daily life. Okay, so Dr.Atiur Rahman, he is an economist, a development economist, plus he's a writer. What do you think he writes on? Only economics? Banking? Actually, he is an expert on 2 of the most famous Bengalis that have ever lived. So, can you name them? Most famous Bengalis that have ever lived? Yes? Okay, any more? Okay, yes, Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore and Mujibur Rahman Sahab. So these are the 2 people he's an expert on, and he writes a lot about them. And this evening there is another of his books is getting launched, where a lot of writers, publishers, etc. are going to be there. So, so not only is he a development economist, he is also a writer, a prolific writer, and he is a banker. So many things rolled into one, and he is known as the banker of the poor. He has been awarded many times for the developmental work that he has done in banking. And some of the things that we hear about or read in the newspapers, he has been actively engaged with that. Something called foreign reserve, all of you have studied about, and he has been instrumental in increasing the foreign reserve of Bangladesh to a large extent, and then bringing in things like automation,
digitization in banking in Bangladesh. All of us are using all of these things in India also. So just like these things have been introduced in India, these have been introduced in Bangladesh, and he's the person behind those innovations which have happened in banking in Bangladesh. The national payment switch of Bangladesh, just like we have NPS, they too have, he has introduced. And the core banking, what we call core banking here, the centralized check clearance system in Bangladesh, what we have, the National Electronic Fund Transfer, NEFT, all of us use it. So in Bangladesh, it is called as BEFTN. So he is the person who introduced this. So we all use these things in our day-to-day lives. They make our lives simpler, but there are some people who actually put in all that work, the thought process, the plans in place so that the multitudes in the country can get those benefits. Dr. Rahman was born in a village in very modest means of his family, but from there he is a first generation learner in his family, and from there he went on to the Cadet College and then to Dhaka University and got the bachelor's degree and master's degree in economics or social science. And then he went on to earn his PhD from the University of London, and his thesis was published as a book by Oxford University Press. OUP, as you know, is a leading publisher, and the career has been spectacular, and it is not that all along it has been in banking. So he started his career with Bangladesh Tourism Corporation, and then he established a development NGO called Unnayan Shamannay, and he is at present the chair of Unnayan Shamannay. That means the person who is leading it. And he's been part of the Bangladesh Institute of Development Studies. He has had a major role in Sonali Bank. He's been the chairman of board of directors of Janata Bank, and thereafter he took up the role of governor of the Central Bank of Bangladesh, that is equivalent to our Reserve Bank of India, and did spectacular work in that particular role. Again, along with all this work as an economist, a development economist, and a banker and central bank governor, he has studied the two eminent experts of Bengal, two eminent personalities of Bengal, and he has researched on them and published prolifically on them. And he has a lovely family. His wife is a professor of pediatrics, that is medicine for children, and he has 3 daughters, and they are very accomplished in their own right, and they're living in 3 different places: Vancouver, Singapore, and London. Okay, so with this, I will hand over the mic to Dr. Rahman, and not only will he tell us about the Indo-Bangladesh trade expansion and what is the game-changing things which are happening in Bangladesh, but also he will show you that how your role in the future as a mariner affects not only trade but also has a large impact on international relations. Dr. Atiur Rahman, sir.
Honorable Air Chief Marshal Raha, Director Kishore, faculties, invited guests, and of course, my very dear students here, the cadets here. I really want to thank the director for inviting me to come here to speak not only on the Indo-Bangladesh trade cooperation. I really want to also shed some of my light on the kind of discussion which has been initiated by Air Chief Marshal Raha on leadership development, which is so important for people like you. But before I start, let me pay my deepest homage to Father of the Nation of Bangladesh, Bengal nation, which in this part of the world, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who gave us not only a Bangladesh, who studied here in Calcutta, actually in Islamia College, and he's our common property. So is Rabindranath Tagore. These are our common assets, cultural assets. And we just heard both the national anthems written by the same person, the same poet, Rabindranath Tagore. So we are actually, we have a common heritage, and we thrive on the cultural strengths as a nation in a wider sense of the term. As I was coming to this place, I was really remembering my younger days as well. I too, I was a cadet. I studied in Momin Shai Cadet College in Pakistan period. I joined around 65, I think, like you, younger. Our principal was a Second World War veteran from Oxford, Mr. Pitt, and we used to have a cadet life, both physical and mental. So I think you are going through that phase, and this is the time to really develop the leadership, that Air Chief Marshal was indicating. Leadership is a very, not only in the business or in the management or in development concept. This is true for every walk of life, and cadets are better leaders because they are so disciplined right from the day one. You had to. I remember in my cadet life, we used to get up in the morning around 5 o'clock or 5, 6. Almost 4 or 5 days in a week, I had to really run for 5 kilometers every day. I'm sure many of you do here as well. And that initial, drive, the engine started. I still move on with that speed, even at this age of 17. I'm 17 only. If you spell it otherwise, it could go larger, wider. But anyway, this youthfulness, this drive, this speed, these are part of the cadet life. And I'm sure, although sometimes you may get irritated with the pressure they put you on, I thought this will be so useful at later part of your life if you can endure this strength of the discipline and physical and mental hard work that is needed for a cadet life. In my cadet college, we used to not only do the running or the physical exercise in the morning, we used to be exercised by the army, personnel led by a major, But not only that, almost we had to really do many other things. I'm sure you do that in the morning. After finishing this physical exercise, come back, put up your uniform, go for breakfast, come back, put in line, go to the class, then a break, come back, take a few hours rest, then go for the sports, different kinds of sports. And in the evening, you go for study again, go to bed by 10 o'clock, definitely switch, lights are off, and you need to, but in addition, you have to do a lot of cultural activities. We used to do a debate, we used to go for, other competitions, cultural competitions and all that. So it's an all-rounded life that gives you a lot of resilience and which is so useful at a part of the life. I really owe a lot to my, this well-disciplined cadet life. As Priya was telling, I came from a very remote village. I could hardly speak any English when I went to the cadet college. I never saw the urban life, in my own life before I really went there. And all my competitors were from the urban, very well organized schools. But then this competition, I thought, was very positive. My friends from the urban setups really welcomed me, someone from the rural area, and groomed me in the wider cultural milieu. And then it was so surprising. Even my principal was very surprised when after a couple of years, when I sat for the secondary exam, I was the only cadet who was on the top list of the exams. The secondary exam. I think I became 4th or 5th in the entire Dhaka division, as I call it. So this was not easy, as I told you. Initially, it was I was really feeling out of place, but the cadet, culture or the milieu really took me too far. Even today, we are in a group. This team building is so important for the leadership. He's the leader who can infuse energy into the society and also the group. He's the leader who builds team. He's the leader who make you dream. Not only that, he inspires you to become as high as your dream. You dream more, become more, then you are a leader. That leadership drive has to be given at the early life that you are giving. So I would really appreciate that if you take this hard work, at this hour, this will pay you very well. I know the mariner's life are so difficult, as Air Chief was telling you. I'm sure many of you have seen that movie or Ghazi or something like that. How life could be so difficult, in the sea, and when you are also in a fighting mood. So you should really be always in a fighting mood if you are a mariner. How to survive in a difficult kind of marine environment. It's not easy, I remember. I was passing from Maldives to another island, over boat, marine boat. It was so difficult. I went as an UN consultant there. But I was vomiting, it was rolling coaster. So I had to request the Maldives government that pick me up by helicopter. So they had to pick me up from the helicopter. So how is the marine life? You can well understand. It's so difficult. Despite being a cadet, it was not easy to endure a marine life. So you'll have to be prepared for that as well. I'm sure you are all getting prepared for a life like that. So let me thank Priya and Partho and others, Arun and all of them for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on Indo-Bangladesh economic relations and trade relations. I'm sure this particular university, Maritime University, has the potential of becoming the center of excellence, a hub for the regional kind of resource development, particularly on the marine side. We really do need more mariners, because we, countries like ours, both India and Bangladesh, we could do far better if we had our own shipping lines. In Bangladesh, almost we lose about 20 to 30 billion dollars just on the shipping expenses. We give it to the foreign liners. We don't have our own liners, and we don't have mariners, enough mariners. So if we could have that, can you imagine if we could save $30 billion from the shipping expenses, and if we could pay them in Dhaka, if it was our own liners, then we could have saved that. Then we could have avoided the huge trade deficit that we are facing at the moment, leading to current account imbalances. When I say current account imbalance, it's a technical term, as a governor speaking. This is the difference between the foreign exchange we earn through exports and other kinds of inflows, and also the import we pay in dollars. So this is the difference. And if the difference becomes too high, then you have a pressure on your reserve. And if you have a pressure on your reserve, your exchange rate get weakened. Like the rupee getting devalued here, our Dhaka is also getting devalued because of that pressure. So if you want to avoid that macroeconomic pressure, you've got to really have your own marine lines. You have to have own shipping lines. You ought to have more mariners like you, earn your own dollars, and have stable supply chains, because the supply chains have been disrupted not only because of the pandemic, but also because of the Ukraine-Russia war. One of our marine engineers lost his life. I'm sure you know that, in Ukraine port, in one of the ports, and because of the sniper shot that came from a missile shot. So this life is so difficult for mariners, but you are heroes, national heroes, to take these initiatives and choose this life of working for the nation in the sea, a lonely life there. Their comradeship, team building, technological development, these are the resources that you have, and I'm sure you will become a wider, fuller kind of human beings after going through this kind of training that you are taking place here. We would really encourage the director to be in touch with the neighboring countries, particularly Bangladesh, which can really give a lot of the students to this place, so that you have an intermixing, and this people-to-people cooperation is so important for in a regional cooperation. The more we meet, the more we talk, the more we exchange our views, more we stay together, then we cement as a South Asian community. Unfortunately, we started with SAARC, which did not take off. So we are now working for a sub-regional kind of cooperation called BBIN, but beyond BBIN, I thought Indo-Bangladesh economic cooperation is more important, in the sense that we two countries, as we said, we have the same poet who wrote our national anthems. We are the two countries who really fought together in 1971. The predecessors of Chief Marshal Raha, many of their comrades, both in Army, Navy, and Air Force,
Indian Army shed their blood in the soil of Bangladesh. And our relationship between India and Bangladesh relationship is not like any other relationship. This has been cemented through blood. So that is something, we can never forget, and we should keep that in mind, that we belong to the same destiny and we belong to the same past. So, and we compete, we may cooperate, but we must remember that we are the products of that historic moment called 1971. As you all know, and this Calcutta, this was the city which really we housed our interim government here. Not only that, all the freedom fighters, all the refugees were taken care of by this Calcutta people and other, the government and the people of India. We really owe a lot to them, and we remember them. So with these brief introductions, let me go back to the topic that I'm willing to talk to you. I really today want to talk on regional connectivity for Indo-Bangladesh trade expansion. Because of the pandemic and also because of the sudden war that has started in Europe, all the supply chains are in deep crisis, disrupted. And this supply side disruptions has really pushed the shipping price 4 or 5 times. Each of the commodities price in the international community, this is going up. And this time, the inflation that we are seeing here in Calcutta or in Bangladesh really essentially is led by the supply side disruptions, the deficit on the supply side and the cost, imported cost of the items, the essentials that we are having. So the Ukraine provides about 30% of the edible oil and the wheat and other food, and we are finding it very difficult to access that food. On the other hand, Bangladesh and India, we are so near in terms of physical distance, and if we could encourage more seamless connectivity, the goods and services from both sides could have passed like this at a very low cost, almost at no cost, and this would have really enhanced the livelihoods of all the citizens of both the sides of the border. And the border in Bangladesh and India could become essentially a free economic zone. If we can really work for peace, we can work for cooperation, if we can work for mutual gains, I think we could turn this sub-region into an area of prosperity and peace. We from Bangladesh, as you must see, Marshal Raha will bear with me, we have done a lot in terms of securing the northeast border, the kind of challenges which our leadership, particularly our Prime Minister, took in terms of containing the insurgencies in Southeast Asia and not allowing anyone to do anything from our part of the country has been a great boon for peace and prosperity in that region. And we have got similar kind of support from your end as well. So I thought, let this continue, but also let us focus on more on the connectivity. The more we connect at the people-to-people level, this is called track-to diplomacy, which I am now propagating. Let us do more track-to people-to-people diplomacy. This will create an environment which will then ultimately push the track-1 diplomacy in the right order, so that we cooperate for prosperity. And Bangladesh and India has been doing it very well. So, can you go for the next slide? Yes. The trade cooperation in South Asia has become more important because of the aftermath of the pandemic, as I told you, because this is a different world. The pandemic has really created different, so much of uncertainty, so much of instabilities, and after that the Ukraine war. So this is so important that if we can cooperate, two of our countries nearby. And then one good thing is that we have started this Padma Bridge, just open the Padma Bridge. Padma Bridge, as our Prime Minister says, is Arctic Setu. This is a breeze of our souls, and two countries really can come closer because both time and the cost of connectivity between Dhaka and Kolkata will be so much minimized, even it will be less than half of the time and the cost in terms of coming together. So, and this has created an ecology of cooperation in the sense that the entire South Bengal, about 21 districts in Bengal, Bangladesh, they were cut off from the main Bangladesh, which was the Dhaka and the other parts. Now, the Padma will allow, Padma Bridge will allow, someone coming from, say, Meghalaya, just pass through Sylhet, come via Narsingdi, and then go to the Mawa, and cross the bridge, come to Jessore, Naral, and to Kolkata in few hours. So can you imagine what will be the impact of it? But there is a but, provided we also get the reciprocation of the connectivity like this, that our boats can also fly from Bahadur Ghat to Guwahati, similar manner. Only then the stakeholders now ought to really materialize the potentials of cooperation. Unfortunately, you can see that, at Shafar, he says, regional trade offers enormous untapped potential for the countries of South Asia. Today, regional trade accounts for only 5% of South Asia's total trade, while in East Asia, it accounts for 50%, 10 times higher than ours. Even in sub-Saharan Africa, it is 22%. So we could do more. As I told you, we could do much more. Maybe the informal trade is still taking place, but if you want to have formal trade, I thought we could do more. And there we need the connectivity. And the transport connectivity is so important, including waterways, and where you come up very well, the waterways. And the Indian government, right at the moment, is doing a lot on waterway connectivity, improving the waterway connectivity. Let me say that regional economic and integration really, next please, yeah. If you can see that, on the middle of the slide, that a well-established transport network really can lead to your regional cooperation and integration better because it promotes trade and both investment, this cooperation, and fosters economic growth and social development. Also, better connectivity means, faster tourism, wider tourism, and also more people-to-people, visits and cultural exchanges. So that makes an environment for cooperation actually, and this connectivity, particularly multimodal connectivity. When I say multimodal connectivity, it's not only the road, it's the railway, is the waterways, and all together is becoming so important. If you miss one, get the another. If you miss the bus, get into the train. If you miss the train, get into the air. Or if you miss the air, you go into the boat. So you have to have this, multimodal kind of connectivity, which is so important. And both governments are really working at the moment to have more of that. Trade and investment situation, let us look at this. In we start our fiscal year, in July. Yours started April, we started July. So in our fiscal year 2021, bilateral trade between India and Bangladesh was about $11 billion. It has been increasing, but again, not at a faster pace. We exported about $1.27 billion. We could do more because India is a huge market. Also, Bangladesh is an expanding market. So together, it could be a win-win situation if we could have seamless trade between the two countries. And we have seen that less than 1% of the Indian investment abroad currently goes to South Asia, mostly to Bangladesh and other countries. And again, huge opportunities. Bangladesh export to India can grow by 300% if it can fetch only 1% of the Indian import. If we could catch only 1% of your import, we could really make our export 3 times higher than what we have right at the moment. And the sky is the limit, I would say. That's why this exchange is so important. And if we can catch that, not only will supply at a low cost to Indian citizens, but also India will also have less pressure on its balance of payment if they could get it from Bangladesh. We could innovate. We could forget about dollar trade. We could do rupee, Dhaka trade arrangements. These are all possible actually, if we, in a special arrangement, if we can do that. Or even with dollars, we didn't have problem. We are working in ACU, Asian Clearing Union, and it is working so well. Every other month, we clear ACU payments, and Bangladesh, India, our central banks are working together and doing so well. So there is an opportunity to do more. But for that matter, we can learn more from ASEAN model. ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian, next please, is doing far better in terms of model for cooperation. Next please. You can see this ASEAN model. In the ASEAN model, what do you see? You can see that the free trade and investment has been initiated through reduction on intra-regional tariff, international trade. In ASEAN region, Southeast Asian region, the tariff from one country to other is almost nil or very low. We, as yet in Bangladesh or India, we could not do that much of tariff reduction. But over and above, we have a lot of non-tariff barrier. You understand what is called non-tariff barrier, which is not in the tariff books, but there are other requirements, for that matter. Say, for example, if a Bangladeshi investor want to come to Kolkata and make an investment, probably the books will not allow that. Although we always welcome investment from India to Bangladesh. So these are small kind of irritations, that bureaucratic irritations that we need to remove. And for that matter, we can do better. ASEAN highway network that we have, that in ASEAN highway, that helps them to do more business. ASEAN open sky policies. We do have now open sky policy between India and Bangladesh, and a lot of flights from both sides are coming and going, but we could do more. We could do, say for example, we in Northeast area, we don't have an international airport. If you could have an international airport in Northeast, a lot of Bangladeshi tourists would have flocked there, and from there they would have gone to Bangkok or other areas or Delhi. So we need those kind of air hubs in the Northeast area, so that you could do far better here. We also can collaborate, Bangladesh and India, like ASEAN. They have done it, the business collaboration and telecommunication network they developed pretty well. Indians, particularly you, have done so well in terms of telecommunication, digital kind of entrepreneurship, we could learn a lot from you and do better in terms of, already Bangladesh is now exporting more than 1 billion plus digital products and services. We could do even more, because given your experience in Bangalore and other areas, even in Kolkata, Razorhat, the ICT smart city that you have developed, we could learn a lot from there, and we could have a smart city beyond Padma Bridge in Bangladesh, and we could have a cooperation between the two cities. That's how we can work together. ASEAN Power Grid, there are as many as 6 cross-border connections between the ASEAN countries. We have one. Now India is providing a cross-border support to Bangladesh, about 1160 megawatt of electricity being really exported from India to Bangladesh. We could do more, and we need more. So those are the areas we can learn from ASEAN. Indeed, there are huge investment opportunities of economic cooperation. Next, please. India is a growing investor in Bangladesh. Already India investing a lot. We have 3 economic zones already earmarked for India. One in Mongla, one in Beramara, one in Mirisharai. These are earmarked for Indian investors. They could come in and invest as much as that. Bangladesh companies could also become key investors in Bangladesh. At the moment, an investor like, say, Pran, really almost a household name in India, but we cannot come from Dhaka. This Pran is located as a subsidiary in Dubai, and from Dubai it comes to India. Why not from Dhaka? Why not from Bangladesh? Why not from Agartala? So these are the areas we still need to straighten and work hard for that kind of development. And for that matter, we need to deepen our value chain so that this could benefit both India and Bangladesh, particularly the Northeast. Northeast is so near to us, with so much of potential, so much of agricultural products, so much of natural products, and we could really we are working on it. Both countries are working on it, but we could do better if we could do faster. The transport connectivity is so important for anything like that, for trade expansion. We can see there are initiatives like BBIN, there are initiatives like motor vehicle agreement we have already done in South Asia. We also have Protocol 1 for the water transport, but we are having another protocols very soon. These are good things, but these are still in papers. So we could do far more in expediting the implementation of these protocols, agreements that we have signed. The transit facilities may reduce carrying time to half. We are opening up, but again, we could do more if we could implement those agreements that we have signed. We'll also promote deepening value chains because of these connectivities. Next place, alternate modes of connectivity and multimodal connectivity need to be equally emphasized. So for example, multimodal connectivity enhances reliance and sustainability. If you are only dependent on one mode, say for example, during the pandemic, there was sudden lockdown. So, the trucks could not go out of Petropol to Banapur. It was all stopped. But the trade didn't stop here. Bangladesh and Indian government immediately decided to start sending the goods and services through railways, through waterways. So that's why that says that multimodality of the connectivity is so important. And we have practiced. The pandemic has been a disaster, but the disasters are also educators. We learned a lot that how to respond to a disaster, and connectivity improved because of the disaster that we faced. So I thought we could do more, but trade between the two countries could be continued through other ways, airways, railways, waterways. In fact, we are really building the third terminal in Bangladesh, which will be a state-of-the-class kind of airport in Dhaka, and this will be the hub for flights to China, Japan, Singapore, entire Southeast Asia. So the passengers from Kolkata or Northeast just hop into Dhaka, go to Southeast Asia. So things will be so easier. So if we can have more of those kind of airports, I think the connectivity will really improve. Road and railway connectivity, the operationalizing BBIN and MBA is pivotal. We have opened Maitri Setu, if you remember, when the Prime Minister Modi and our Prime Minister together opened the Maitri Setu, really created a vibe, and we must continue to really implement them faster so that we could connect Tripura with Chattogram or the Chittagong port, which is only about 75 kilometers from Agartala. So this would have given a new boost to the cooperation actually, and this has already started. But the devil lies in details. These are all given, so we need to implement them faster. Bangladesh has also received about 510 million loan from India. It's called line of credit, if you remember, from Exim Bank of India for 3 major railway projects. But unfortunately, the pace of implementation is very low, mainly because of the bureaucratic hurdles. So hurdles we must remove and then make it happen faster. Bangladesh is also planning to revitalize all the 1965 rail connections with India. If you remember, we used to have a lot of complementarities of railway connectivity between Bangladesh and India. The llDr train would go to Khulna seamlessly, but suddenly the 1965 war between India and Pakistan stopped that. So we are trying to revive that infrastructure. On our inland waterways, are you coming with me? Inland waterways, next please. Next. Okay. So the waterways connectivity initiatives are already in motion. As you know, in 2019, the Indian cargo ship went to Narayanganj, and I'm sure they will go more frequently, and we'll have a lot many exchanges. If adequately facilitated, waterways connectivity can reduce both travel cost by 30% and also the actual cost. Enhanced waterways connectivity can really bolster a lot of medium, micro, small and medium enterprises around the waterways on the port areas, and a lot of the small entrepreneurs can have business. The tourists will be flocking in. Say for example in Barisal, they will see Barisal, and if we can plan it well, cultural tourism could be one area which can be really promoted through waterways. So these are the potential areas, and I thought we should focus on waterways not only for business but also for cultural tourism and exchanges. We need to prepare ourselves for next phase, the preparedness for increased trade activity. As you can see, the improving the connectivity that we have, we need to, we are already getting support from the World Bank and other countries. They are really working for digital connectivity, I would say. The development partners are also putting in a lot of efforts. We in India and Bangladesh, we have also, ports are developed, but we need to coordinate. If you have digital on the, say, Petropole and not in Benapole, doesn't matter. It doesn't work. You know, if one side is on paper, other side on digital, we are not in the same page. So I think that at least the port developments, both governments should have a joint project and develop it accordingly, you know, so that we can move together. Secondly, the Mongla seaport or the Pangao ICD and Akhaura land port can boost further trade, and all other hubs are running at full capacity. Hence, increased trade volume will require additional capacity to develop. I think after Padma Bridge, Mongla and Paira, these are the two ports will get more traction, and more trade will be coming from other side of the border, Bhutan, Nepal, India. And these are the ports which will be also connecting Dhaka faster than Chittagong, which is a bit far away. But I thought there is a great potential for connectivity improvement after Padma has started. Only the two seaports, Chattogram and Mongla, and one ICD, that is Pangao, have container handling capacity. So other hubs are yet to be ready for container handling. So we need to work on that as well. Digitization of the customs processes is a must, and paperless trade, there is no option, but we got to go paperless trade, and we need to work together on that. Port activities still rely heavily on manual labor at the moment. So there we can have lot of smart kind of port handling and digitization of the efforts. Policymakers and the stakeholders. Are you there? Yep. Policymakers and other stakeholders ought to work hard for efficient and humane automation of all the port activities. Multiple agencies from the government as well as the private sector have to work for cross-border trade. Effective inter-agency coordination a must for ensuring the gains that we are anticipating. The initiatives that could reduce, next please, reduce transport cost and time along the corridors. There are some initiatives on in Bangladesh, the Access project, which has just started. Access means accelerating transport trade connectivity in East South Asia. This is being supported by the World Bank. About $753 million have been invested. Many of the land ports are being digital, and project support for digital infrastructure are on. And also the Access project is also supporting Nepal. So together we'll pass through India, and this area will be so important. Bangladesh, in fact, the connectivity is so vital because Bangladesh is in a different development pathway now. Bangladesh potential can really induce increased into Bangladesh trade because Bangladesh could mimic the growth path of Southeast Asian peers and reach $4,000 per capita only in a few years. By 2026, Bangladesh will have $4,000 plus per capita income, which in 1980 Singapore had, in 90s Malaysia had, in 2000 Thailand had. So we are on the same trajectory. So please support that, and I'm sure the cooperation between the two countries will help us move in the same direction and will become another South Asian miracle in the waiting. Bangladesh, the growth of Bangladesh, the vibrant growth of Bangladesh owes to its strength of consumption. 73% of the Bangladesh growth originates from consumption. So this consumption means, you have a huge domestic demand, and as an Indian entrepreneurs can also benefit from that, huge consumption that is going on in Bangladesh. Not only that, 1/3 of the population will belong to the middle income group by 2026 in Bangladesh. These middle income groups are tech savvy, they are brand savvy people like you. So they will have a different kind of demand structure, consumer consumption taste. So there you can invest a lot. A lot of cities will be coming out, smart cities will be coming out, smart populations will be coming out. And by 2026, around 36% of the population will have tertiary education in Bangladesh with disposable income. And organizations like IMU can benefit from those tertiary graduates if they want to come here and take part in education. Bangladesh can be an ideal destination for Indian investment because we are concentrating so much on transport-related infrastructure. Not only Padma, we are really building up the metro rail in Dhaka. We are picking up the Kornafuli tunnel, which will accelerate the traffic movement. We are working on Matarbari deep sea port. So together, all these game-changing infrastructures related to transport will add on another 5% of our GDP. By 2026, we are expecting 12% growth in our GDP, which is something double-digit growth that we call it. About 12 gigabytes of electricity, additional electricity generation will take place by 2026. $75 billion worth of export will take place. This year we have done $52 billion and $5 billion of ICT products will be produced in Bangladesh. So given this kind of figures, these are really impressive figures, but Padma Bridge has added more dimension, as I told you earlier. Padma is a dual-purpose bridge with rail and road. In addition, it is also taking ICT pipeline. So this is a very important rail link between Shialda and Pune can be revived. Not only revived, can be linked to the Padma railway, and this will be then we will reach from Dhaka to Kolkata in 3-4 hours. So that will be the potential that we are watching. This could reduce the cost of trade exchange by more than 75%, because the trucks have to wait for days in the ports. This will be smart, very fast. It will also reduce the congestion in Petroport and Benapole. Let me finish this presentation by suggesting some ways forward. Just a few more minutes. Sorry for a longer presentation. Firstly, the potential for cooperation for faster and sustainable economic growth is simply unlimited. We got to understand that and take advantage of this historic moment. We could take it forward. Both countries are now politically poised to develop infrastructures for desired level of cooperation. Together, the two countries can certainly move ahead with caution and humility, and with smart economic diplomacy, we can really sky is the limit to our cooperation. So let's accelerate implementation of railways development project initiated under line of credit, which the Indians have given to us. Define the bureaucratic complications that are always there. And again, expedite the twining of the coastal project and the inland project, inland waterways. Twine them up, link them up, as we are planning from Chittagong to Akhaura via, land ports, or waterways, and then make more border hearts as entry points for people-to-people connectivity to transform the border into free trade zones. As I told you, we now have many of the border hearts, and border hearts people are making people-to-people, exchanges. Let's raise them up, make them a shopping mall, I would say. The entire border areas will become a free economic zones where people can go and trade very easily. Payment system should be automatic so that we can do that. So we can do many more. I don't want to, tax you anymore. Whatever I have spoken, just to keep it imprint in your memory, if you share me another 5 more minutes, we will show you a video which will give you the entire story in a better way. As you all know, speaking for an hour and 5 seconds of video are almost same. So let me share a small video which my office has done for this. Thank you so much. Joy Bangla. Long live Indo-Bangladesh.
For the Indian group of countries to embark upon large-scale multimodal connectivity initiatives, it is necessary for creation of an enabling environment for a well-informed political economic discourse. In that context, the key is to understand the conditions and factors responsible for successful regional multimodal connectivity initiatives in the sub-region, combining roadways with inland waterways, coastal shipping and railways. That in turn will require clear understanding of ground-level challenges in terms of infrastructure, policy and regulatory gaps, and also the extent of ownership at the subnational and national levels for larger connectivity plans. Our regional multimodal transport protocol will bring unprecedented efficiency in regional trade by eliminating transshipment activities in the port. According to a World Bank study, seamless cross-border trade between Bangladesh and India would increase the real income of Bangladesh by 17%, while for India the figure stands at around 8%. So how can we unlock this economic potential? We just need a bigger multimodal transport protocol and a modern customs infrastructure. Now let's get an overview of the state of regional cooperation in defense and connectivity from the Bangladeshi perspective. Let's first look at BBI and MVA. We know that BBI and MVA have still not been implemented due to Bhutan's environmental concerns. Our MOU among 3 countries has been drafted. Standard operating procedure and discussion on separate protocol for passenger and cargo movement under MVA has been done. When it comes to Bangladesh-India connectivity agreements, we have some notable achievements. We know that Addendum to Inland Waterways Trade and Transit Protocol (IPP) has been made in October 2018. Coastal Shipping Agreement is in operation. Agreement on use of Chattogram and Mongla port for goods movement for India is also in place. We also have an MOU between India and Bangladesh on development of fairway from Sirazganj to Dhaka and Ashuganj to Jokiganj on Indo-Bangladesh Protocol Route 1 for development of railway infrastructure. Bangladesh has also made an addendum to the MOU between India and Bangladesh to facilitate overland transit traffic between Bangladesh and Nepal in 2011. With Nepal, Bangladesh has a trade, transit and payments agreement in 1976, and with Bhutan, we have a preferential trade agreement. Our project, which is titled Enabling a Political Economy Discourse for Multimodal Connectivity in the DMET Sub-Region, or MConnect, has produced a repository of knowledge to commence and guide this discourse. Unnayan Shamannay, in association with Bhutan Media and Communications Institute, CUTS International and Nepal Economic Forum have undertaken this project in partnership with UK8 and ADB. The regional connectivity corridors considered in our study for Bangladesh are Kathmandu to Chattogram or Mongla via Bangla-Bandha, Kathmandu to Visakhapatnam via Kolkata-Haldia, Bhutan or Northeast India to Mongla or Chattogram via Jogigopa or Tamabil, Kolkata to Agartala via Benapur, Chattogram, Ashuganj and Akhaura. We also have looked into some alternative routes for multimodal BBN connectivity. These are Bhutan to Jogigopa or Thupri via roadways, then from Chilmari to Dhaka through inland waterways. And From rest of India to Kolkata via rail or roadways, and then onwards to Chattogram via waterways, and then in the final leg from Chattogram to Tripura via roadways. In order to facilitate multimodality in transport logistics in these corridors, MConnect has identified some potential multimodal hubs which present huge opportunity for increase in cargo transport efficiency in the regional context. We have studied 12 connectivity hubs in Bangladesh to assess the institutional and policy aspect of a regional multimodal protocol. These are Benapol, Dorshona, Banglabandha, Tamabil, Akhaura, Panga, Narayanganj, Daudkandi, Ashuganj, Mongla, Chattogram, Matarbari, and Dhaka. InConnect has allowed the production of a comprehensive documentation and analysis of integration readiness of the key transport hubs of Bangladesh. These findings can be boiled down to some key areas of interest. Focus on infrastructure. Government is prioritizing infrastructure development to facilitate regional and international trade, which becomes apparent with the fact that all the connectivity hubs are continuously receiving funds to improve infrastructure. Maximized capacity utilization. Nearly all the connectivity infrastructures of Bangladesh except Mongla, Panga ICT and Akhaura land port has been reported to have been running at max capacity, and any further increase in trade volume is not possible without capacity enhancement. Lack of container handling capacity. Excluding Chattogram, Mongla and Panga ICT, none of the transport hubs currently possess container handling capacity. Paperless trade still in nascent stage. Effective implementation of paperless trade initiatives and adoption of national single window requires strong implementation support. All the stakeholders voiced their support for incremental progress in port and customs automation. Dominance of manual labor. Land ports and river ports face a shortage of transshipment infrastructure as the process is still heavily dependent on manual labor, adding to the cost of doing business. Any attempt at mechanizing the process will need to take laborers into confidence. Coordination and consultation. Nearly all the stakeholders felt that interagency coordination has scope for improvement. Moreover, calls were raised for a systematic mechanism of stakeholder identification and consultation. A specific set of suggestions are important to facilitate an important connectivity policy discourse such as this one. We gave our prime focus to the suggestions made by connectivity stakeholders. They felt a need for an integrated DMET multimodal transport protocol to promote multimodal transport in the region. It was also opined that institutional and policy support required for the move should be advocated further. Focus on the infrastructural development of existing routes is preferred. New routes should be identified and included in the MPA agreement. More routes should be made operational and incentivized their use. Panga ICT, Ashuganj IWT and Paira Seaport should be used frequently to achieve full potential of these ports. Dredging of waterways should be done considering their high return on investment. Treatment and lab facilities should be established in all ports. Private sector can be involved in the administration and infrastructure of ports. Benapol port should be expanded. Technological advancements should be made in inland waterways, vessel design for cargo transportation. And finally, integrated customs for operating in the multimodal routes should be stressed further. We at Unnayan Shamannay believe that this dialogue about multimodal BBN connectivity, which starts with this project of ours, should continue, and a coordinated effort from all the stakeholders can be availed to realize the potential of multimodal connectivity in the BBN region.
Okay, lights. Thank you, Dr. Rahman. That was a very wonderful talk, and I'm sure they feel very inspired about their future roles in helping multimodal connectivity. Now, the best part is what you learn from it. Okay, and while I'm sitting here, hadn't even been born. So they are richer than me by one generation, and certainly richer than you by 2 generations or even more. So अगर मैंने ध्यान से सुना तो आपने तो डबल ध्यान से सुना होगा. तो अभी let's have a short interaction where your participation is invited, and I had planned for a quiz, very objective, one-word answers, but our pre-speakers today, they have mostly suggested subjective questions, so it is somewhere between a quiz and an interaction, so let's go ahead and there will be prizes for this. Okay, so the first question is, what are the 5 aspects which are important for good leadership? So, Marshal Raha had spoken about 5 aspects for good leadership. Please raise your hand and we'll have a mic so that you can answer. Come on. Yes? Excellent. Excellent. So please come forward and take a seat in the front. We will have a prize distribution also, so please come forward. Okay, the next question. Do you think digital transformation of our economy and society creates more opportunities than challenges for the developing countries like ours? I repeat, do you think digital transformation of our economy and society creates more opportunities than challenges for the developing countries like ours? Okay, yes please. Yes, but just elaborate a bit. How do you think it helps? Why is it that you think that opportunities are more than challenges? I will have to request one of our cadets to give you a mic. Did you mention UPI, Unified Payments Interface?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Yes, please. Repeat, please.
Yes, digitalization of the economy is helping our country, like UPI, which are making us self-dependent, not cashless economy, and it's helping to track the money of our country and making more transparent economy.
Okay. So, Governor sir, please tell us, is this acceptable?
Now, of course, this is one of the advantages you have mentioned about, but there are many others. I would accept this because this is the right directions you are thinking about. The unified payment systems is really helping. Digital transformation of the finance has really gone up both in India and Bangladesh, and creating a lot of value addition in our economy. But we could do more in terms of the interoperable payment system that you are talking about between the countries. As yet we cannot really have seamless connectivity on payment systems between two of us. We need to go through third or fourth kind of media. So we'll have to work hard so that we can do it also interoperable payment system between our neighbors. That we have a better advantage. But this is besides the finance. The digital transformation has also helped us in terms of cultural exchange. A lot of cultural activities going on. We are benefiting from, say, I sit in Dhaka, but I enjoy all the programs, in your media. I just download G5 and I get all the advantages. So I thought these are again what I would say the Bangladesh should also enjoy the benefits of similar kind of digital transformation taking place here in India. So they should also download some of our digital products, entertainment products, so that you too can enjoy what the hell going on in Bangladesh. So I thought that's how we can benefit. Of course, the challenges are there, cyber security problem is there, and others are there, but even then, you are absolutely right, opportunities are much more than the challenges we are facing.
Okay, so please come forward and you will get the prize. On this note, let me share with all of you here, especially the people who are not students of IMU at the moment. I can see former students here. Mr. Mohan Ojha is here, and perhaps there are other former students. Now, this entire session is being broadcast live online, and that has been done by IMU Samvaad, DMET Samvaad, and Director Sir tells me that people from Australia, Sri Lanka, etc. are watching this particular live session. And yes, digitalization does help all of us in the long run and also in our day-to-day lives. So the next question is that, what do you think is the role of maritime domain in globalization process? Maritime contribution in globalization. Who would like to speak about that? Yes, please, go ahead.
And the merchant navy and the marine field plays a very important role in the globalization and the economy. 80% of all the trade that happens with the ships and also we can say that China, Vietnam, Philippines and Laos, Cambodia, these countries play a very important role, including India, in the majority of the seafarers and also provide a very good opportunity for the globalization. And I think that this will all be helpful for our country as well as the Bangladesh as well.
Sir, yes? Okay. So please come forward and take a seat along with the other winners. Thank you for your excellent answer. Next question. What do you think about the main takeaway from this lecture is for you? So, your individual main takeaway from Dr. Rahman's talk on Indo-Bangladesh trade expansion. Okay.
Can you? Can I from a girl on this? Although, you know, we will give two prizes. You stand on. Let's hear from a girl first.
So, girl cadet, please.
Girl cadet.
Good afternoon, sir. So the main takeaways from your conversation, you spoke about Indo-Bangladesh relations and also the importance of the Padma Bridge, which is connecting the southwest and the northeastern regions. So it's basically a road and railway bridge, which is going to help a lot in the trade, and it will also help decrease the trade expenses, which is happening by almost by 70%. So like you've given a lot of points between the two. You've given a lot of points between the two countries, the relations which help increase the efficiency of the trade relations. And so that's very important for us, and we'll focus on that.
Thank you. Well done, Samvaad.
Good afternoon, sir. So, you are always pointing out the bureaucracy is interrupting between Bangladesh and India. So, may I know, sir, why bureaucracy is interrupting, sir?
Okay, we'll take this question, but the question was for you first, that what is your main take from this particular presentation of Dr. Rahman, and then we'll take the question, he'll take the question then.
As we know, ma'am, we, India and Bangladesh, together we fought in 1971. And Mujibur Rahman, the father of nation of Bangladesh, just like our Mahatma Gandhi. So we both the country, India and Bangladesh, we fought together. And in this era, means in 21st century, means we are proceeding towards like India is a developing country and Bangladesh is also on that trajectory. Means we both the countries are on the same way. Means just we have to be from a developing country to a developed country. We can go together, go to achieve a heights. So we want to make, I want to make this point that we should work together. Like you discussed Bhutan, Nepal, India and Bangladesh. It's we are all the part of Asia. It's like China. China is developing. Means just China wants to come with India, but India wants to go with Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal. That's.
Please join the winners in the front, the lady also, and the lady cadets. Why were you hesitating? I mean, you speak better than me. Why are you hesitating? Come on. I would request all the lady cadets here, and all the ladies, in fact, present here. There is a very short, simple book called Lean In, Lean, Lean In, by Sheryl Sandberg. She's the COO of Facebook. And just read that book. It is very transformational message for women. And what she exactly was doing, hesitating, is like, okay, there are men on the table, so I will stay a little away. And at the back, so we need to lean in and put in our voice, otherwise we can't. So please raise your hand who wants to take up that challenge. It is very rare that in an open forum with external guests, the head of the institution takes up, asks for this question to be taken up. And the next one is Weber, the next question.
In my opinion,
mic is working. You please speak.
Ma'am, in my opinion, I think IIM Kolkata should produce efficient marine engineers who will work for their lifetime and serve the marine industry in India. It will help in progressing the Indian economy and also the world. It will help in creating more supply chains across the world.
Excellent. Sir, acceptable? Okay. Yes, please come forward. Please come forward and join the other winners. Okay, now the braver question from your leader of the institution. Do you think the present activity, this particular activity that we are hosting today, is in line with the functioning of IMU University? Do you think the activity that we are hosting today is in line, is on track with the functioning of IMU University? Yes. I don't see any raised hands. Come on. Who volunteers?
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, in my opinion, I believe yes, it is helping us. Since this merchant navy field is related to the world affairs, and today that the event which we are hosting today is an international event, we can say. And with this international event, we are basically extending our knowledge. The sir has come from Bangladesh. He has shared his ideas, his motive. Like we have also shared our ideas and all. So like this way we can cooperate, and like this way we can exchange our knowledge, and like such events will help us to develop and grow.
Excellent. And I think the last answer, please join the other winners. And the last answer, it summarizes that this event has actually connected what you study in the classroom or the practical sessions that you do in the labs to the actual work that you will be doing, and what is the contribution of that work not only to India but to the entire world. So do you feel proud of what you are studying to become?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So therefore, there is a larger purpose for what you are going through every day in these 4 years. Congratulations to the winners. So please come up one by one on stage, and we will hand out the prizes to you. And this will also be a photo opportunity for you with the esteemed guests. Please tell me your name so that I can write it on the prize vouchers. So the names are getting written, and then you can come forward and take your prizes. Meanwhile, please come forward, and you would like to say something? No. Okay. Mr. Shordar would like to say something. Come please.
Good afternoon. I'm a transport economist. I am also involved in regulatory banking. I just want to make one suggestion to the director here, that maritime commerce, without commerce there is no maritime. So maritime commerce is something that we should look at, because if you are deploying ships, maybe 30, 40 crew members on board, 500 plus staff on the shore supporting them. Each vessel deploying 30 to 40 crew members, more than 500 staff at the shore, helping the ship to run around and fetch money. As Governor Rahman said very well, that Bangladesh paying $30 billion every year to foreign shipping lines. You know, in shipping industry, there is one basic understanding which is called 30-30-40. That means when we earn revenue as a shipping company, we spend $30 out of 100 as external cost, operating cost. And $30 we spend for admin and related other expenses at home. And the balance 40% is really the gross profit. This is the calculation prior to the pandemic situation. The pandemic story is very, very rare in our trade history because it has produced a result for some shipping lines producing 3,000% profit over previous years, 3,000% average. Some of them even produce 11,000% profit over previous years. So practically, if you look into South Asian countries, we are paying nearly $400 billion every year to foreign shipping companies, $400 billion. I worked under Governor Rahman for multiple years, and my job was to assess what is the amount the nation Bangladesh paying, though I'm an Indian citizen, but I work paying as a transport cost for external transport. And unfortunately, the amount is way above 30% of the value of the import. So we should look at how to improve maritime commerce side by side with maritime management, like Guru on board deck and cadets, deck cadets and engine cadets. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your views. So, please come forward. Rohin Kaur, please come forward. I think we can queue you up here and we can take one photograph with all of you. Yes. Mobani Shorkar. Mausam Kumar Naik. Shoham Das Gupta. Vikas Shakya. Vivek Kumar. And Adarsh Ranjan. You will have to come up on stage and please come up on stage. Please come and stand here in front, so and we will stand by you. So please come and let us. So you are. I think we have, yes, you can come. Please be seated, sir. So we have come to the last leg of this event. heard that today we have a book launch in the evening, a book on literature by Dr.Atiur Rahman. And right now, two of the latest books of Dr. Rahman would be presenting to Director Sir. So, sir, thank you so much. And, the vote of thanks will be delivered. Yes, somebody said, excuse me. Okay, yes, so we had that question pending. So one question was there already from you, and the other question is?
Are you concerned about the Chinese influence in Bangladesh? You know, we believe in open regionalism. You know, we are facing all kinds of challenges, not only from one country you're mentioning about, all around, but we in the region, particularly Bangladesh, India, we are really responding to open regionalism. We look at our national interest, we look at our regional interest, and then we respond. And we do whatever we feel good for our own country. And we will continue to do that, nothing to be worried on that. Okay? Another?
Why do the bureaucrats delay the process?
I thought here are two bureaucrats around, you know, so they could have given more answers to that. The bureaucracy, you know, is a legacy problem. It's not that all bureaucrats are bad or good, you know. This is a legacy problem. You know, the British, you know, we are under British colony, as you know. The system they developed, because they were imperialist power, they never trusted their people. So they created intermediaries who were asked to be suspect about any activities. So the bureaucracy, you know, they would say no to any proposal unless you really push hard and convince them. So I had the fortune of transforming some of this bureaucracy into positive actions. That would appoint it. So I thought, you know, the political masters or the stakeholders should really go for, you know, own judgment and take the bureaucracy on board, in the sense that transform their mindset and take action for the public good as fast as possible. There could be mistakes, but if the intentions are good, I think the bureaucrats too can be taken on board. And I had the fortune of transforming many of the bureaucrats into positive mindsets, and we should continue to do that. Bureaucracy remains an embedded problem, but this is true for everywhere, including India or in Bangladesh. So we should do more of the training like this, human resource development, leadership development, the digital transformation that is taking place in human resource. In other words, we should try to be doing more human development which is more humane. The human development, human resource development, which ought to be more humane. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
At yesterday's event of Dr. Rahman, where he spoke at Jadavpur University International Relations, His Excellency the Deputy High Commissioner of Bangladesh in Kolkata, Mr. Andalib Alias, was there, and he proactively took up this particular topic of why bureaucracy on both sides they take a very cautious and measured approach. And Dr. Rahman, in a very few words, he has summarized the entire thing for you. And a very good question, a very brave question again from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now a small memento, and I would request Director Sir to please honor for Dr. Atiur Rahman, a small memento, and it's an interesting memento.
Digital
And this is created by one of the DMET Samvaad cadet.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. The name, please.
Yeah, the artist's name is Cadet Alpha Trinity, you know. Big round of applause to him.
There with us, please come forward, let everybody have a look at you. It is a brilliant work that you have done. And please be here, and so we will take...
Come in, why are you far away?
Please stay here. Please stay here. I would request Director Sir to give away a memento to our honored guest, Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha. So sir, is it the same artist or a different artist this time? Same artist. Please come up now. Very nice. Sir, please come forward. Sir, please come forward, and sir, we'll take a photograph. Please come forward, otherwise this gets... It is a brilliant piece of, two brilliant pieces of work that this young man has done, and excellent, excellent.
Where did you get this? One day. Hello. Yeah. He's asking for another. Please join us.
This is a photo of to be in. Thank you.
You brought good rains today.
And we will request so we'll have the vote of thanks, and we have two of our cadets who will be delivering the vote of thanks. So we have Cadet Pooja Samant, and she is going to deliver the vote of thanks in Hindi, and followed by Syed Umar Khalid, who will deliver the vote of thanks in English. Yes.
माननीय मुख्य अतिथिगण डॉक्टर अतिउर रहमान सर और पूर्व वायु सेना अध्यक्ष श्री अनुरूप राहा सर और हमारे निर्देशक श्री ईश्वरा अरुण किशोर सर को मेरा सादर प्रणाम। मैं सैन्य छात्रा पूजा सामंत समग्र भारतीय समुद्री विश्वविद्यालय कोलकाता परिसर की तरफ से इस कार्यक्रम के लिए धन्यवाद देती हूँ। मैं यहाँ पे उपस्थित सभी अतिथिगणों का आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ कि इन्होंने हमारे देश के शक्तियों, क्षमताओं एवं अनुशासन के बारे में बताया और हमें अपने भविष्य को अपने स्वर्णिम शब्दों में प्रस्तुत करा। जैसा कि माननीय श्री अनुरूप राहा सर ने हमें बताया, नेतृत्व, स्वास्थ्य, सार्थिक सकारात्मक सोच, सदैव सीखने की इच्छा इत्यादि का महत्व बताया। निसंदेह यह हमारे अपने आने वाले भविष्य में उपयोगी साबित होगा। मैं इन सारी चीज़ों का साझा करने के लिए धन्यवाद एवं आभार प्रकट करती हूँ। उसी प्रकार डॉक्टर अतिउर रहमान सर ने हमें क्षमता एवं अनुशासन का महत्व साझा किया और हमें आधुनिक समाज में समुद्र उद्योग का महत्व भी साझा किया। मैं यहाँ पे उपस्थित सभी सैन्य छात्राओं की ओर से आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ। इसी के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देती हूँ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
On this lovely Saturday morning, we had the opportunity of listening to two great minds from across the border who enlightened us on regional connectivity of India-Bangladesh trading expansion. We are delighted to be a part of this interactive session and learn about the various opportunities that can be forged between the two nations. On behalf of the DMET fraternity, I would like to thank Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha sir, PVSM, AVSM, ADC, winner of Vayu Sena Medal, the 21st Chief of the Air Staff of the Indian Air Force. Dr. Atiur Rahman, 10th Governor of Bangladesh Bank, Honorary Professor, Dhaka University, Chair Unnayan Shamannay, for taking their precious time out and enlightening us on today's important subject. I would like to thank and express my heartfelt gratitude to Priya Sengupta ma'am for being an amazing guide and host for the day. This event would not have been possible without her. Special thanks to our broadcasting partner DMET Samvaad and the team of cadets working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure this event reaches our alumni and all the people around the globe. I would like to thank Ishwara Arun Kishore sir, Director, Indian Maritime University, Kolkata campus, for always being our biggest pillar of support and guiding us in the right path. I would also like to thank all the faculty members, staff members, and all the guests present here today. I would like to thank all my senior cadet captains sirs who coordinated with the cadets of third year to make this event a grand success. We are really thankful and wish for more such events in the future. Jai Hind.
So with this, we close the event formally, and thank you all for your time and attention. We are honored. Thank you. Thank you.